Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another edition of UNBOXXD, the UNBOXXD podcast. Episode 2. It's going to be an incredible episode. We've gotten, there was an interesting situation with episode 1. Some things were said. Some people listened to some things were said.
We've adjusted
it was some
that.
B-roll. We've adjusted it. We have an incredible producer Rob. They call him Pastor Rob. He's an incredible human being, but welcome
He's busy. He's a busy man.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, he's good.
Welcome into episode 2. I've got my co-host here. His name is Chris Boats. I'm
Glad
Cody
to be
Adams,
here.
of course. Yeah, it's good to see you. You got a little project going on.
I do.
Yeah. Might as well open up talking some shit.
Yeah.
Having some fun.
So you may not all know, but I am now flipping home. That's part of my real estate side of my business.
Yes, sir.
And we just bought a home in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
On the edge of PV-ish. It's like Scottsdale and Shea.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a big project.
Yeah.
Biggest project I've ever done.
Yeah.
It'll be like a $900,000 renovation budget.
Yeah. So you guys paying almost $1 million, and you're going to put $1 million into it almost.
Correct. It was $1 million
basically.
bucks, $965, put $900,000 in.
Which is dope.
Hopefully, nice little payday in about 10, 12 months.
Hopefully, I know you guys you're going to be successul with this. It's going to be dope.
Yeah.
Super excited.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Not for any help with Logan. It's all going to be you.
If you know Logan Moore,
if you know
Logan Moore, real estate, great guy.
Real estate, great guy.
Don't take
Just
him on a
kidding.
golfing trip.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
we did just get back from a golfing trip
did. That
though,
was
which is
fucking
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, we spent 6 days together. We traveled to all over the place. We went to Laughlin, Nevada. Shout out to Laughlin.
Yep. Laughlin's a
Pastor
good
Rob
time.
and I, our hometown, which was cool. I showed them Gold Diggers, I think is what it's called now. We
Wait,
had
real
some.
quick, you know what's the funniest part about that
Yeah,
trip?
please.
So we went 4 guys, myself and 3 others, and 2 of us have girlfriends.
I'm the other one.
We were initially supposed to go to Vegas. And the girls were like, we don't want you guys to go to Vegas because, whatever, Vegas is Vegas. But the irony was we pulled a Laughlin and there were like 10 casinos. It was almost like mini Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, in Vegas, it's like me and then there's Jake Paul. Who do you think girls are going to? Like, let's be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I wasn't there. We're there for a golf trip. We're out there to drop 15, 20 grand.
Right.
In Laughlin, though,
We're kings.
we were kings of the castle.
Kings of the castle.
Biggest mistake.
Unbelievable.
Checkmate.
Check.
Sorry.
Oh, you don't want us to go to Vegas?
Hey, you ask and you shall receive.
Fine. Take my eyes, but
We
not
were
my
good.
shirt.
We were good. We were good. Let the record
It was a
show.
good time. We went to Laughlin. That was super cool. Aside from a few things, Logan. And then we went to Mesquite, which was sweet. The coolest golf course I've ever played.
Oh, man.
By far.
Highly recommend it if you're a golfer.
Badass.
Awesome.
Then we played Sand Hollow in Utah, which was a 50-minute drive. Was nothing crazy.
It was worth it.
And then we woke up and really early in the morning, and we went to Sedona and played Seven Canyons, which was awesome.
That drive was also pretty cool.
It was cool.
All around like the North Ridge.
The north rim of the Grand
North
Canyon.
Rim, yeah. It was
yeah.
beautiful.
It was cool. And you drive the whole time. Thank you, by the
Yeah, I
way,
did.
for driving
Yeah.
the entire
Someone
time.
had to do it.
Someone had to do it. It's just a noble steed, but we're in, man. We're here, which is good.
Yeah,
And we got a podcast coming up.
we do.
right now.
We're gonna
talk. What are we talking about? I know what we're talking about. You want me to
tell us. Yeah, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about your president.
Stop it.
We're talking about Biden's first year. I say 14, 16 months at this point. It's
Or
April
also
of 2022.
What's the?
As this will be right at the bottom here. Right at the bottom.
Yep.
Biden's blunders.
Biden's blunders.
And it's not because he hasn't done anything great, because he hasn't. It's because he's done everything wrong in the first 14 months.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through some things.
Yep.
Initial thoughts on this. I think number one, before I pass the mic to my friend here,
Yep.
Mr. Chris, is he's not fit to be president right now. We just looked at, he just had a press conference, if you want to call it that, with former President Obama. And as soon as he was done speaking, the entire crowd, he said that he was the vice president to Barack Obama. We're talking about, this is April of 2022. He just said that. He said he's Jill Biden's husband. He didn't know what the hell he was talking about half the time, was stumbling over his words.
He
And it just goes to
puppy.
no idea.
He didn't know where he was going.
He said he was Barack Obama's vice president, which is probably the truth. But the telling thing, and the reason why my first thoughts before I pass to you and talk about your initial thoughts on this Biden Blunders thing, and we're going to go through things, is he stopped talking and then he looked around to see if people were going to shake his hand and shit.
No one.
No one was there.
Dude.
They all went to Obama. It was the most unbelievable thing and the most telling thing about his presidency so far that I can possibly think of. In my opinion, and this is a hot take, baby, before I pass it to you, he is 100% the worst president that has graced this fucking country, period.
Undoubtedly.
And I'm not, like, one thing that I do want to say is that this is not a Trump versus Biden conversation, because Trump isn't our president right now. Lay the cards
Trump
down.
If Trump was doing this shit, I'd be crucifying Trump too.
I'd be fucking him up too, 100%,
Same.
dude. Come on. But the reality is every time you talk to somebody, it's like, well, Trump. No, this is just Biden blunders. He is the worst president.
Wasn't that the vote?
I'll pass to you, yes,
wasn't that the vote for Biden? Is when you ask people, why do you like Biden? It was, well, Trump did this. Trump's right. It was, you couldn't, I always ask people, I said,
unbelievable.
Give me your response for why you're voting for Biden without mentioning Trump.
You can't.
They couldn't.
You couldn't.
Okay. And not to get into, I don't want to get this censored, but if you think
we're going to get censored,
senile Joe got the most votes in history, 81 million votes, then you're delusional.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like there comes a point where there's an eye test. Do you guys remember Hillary Clinton when she was running? She could fill, a decent sized auditorium. Obama changed. That was a movement. Trump, there's movements. To this day, Trump can go at Arizona, anywhere in the country.
He just did.
Fills auditoriums.
He just did in Florida.
Biden could not fill damn near this room.
Yeah.
And say coherently.
Yeah.
So people who think that, a guy who's been in politics for 50 years, okay, if you've ever actually, which most people haven't, and actually studied his political past, he's been on the wrong side of every single foreign policy
Or
issue.
he's flip-flopped.
Or he's flip-flopped on everything, yes. Where he used to be, for example, the 94 crime bill.
Yeah.
Where he talks about, where everyone, if you point at, people like the term systematic racism now, the 94 crime bill is the only law in place that was somewhat systematic racism. It targeted.
It's like Jim Crow, but yeah.
No, after Jim Crow and his civil rights movement.
Sure.
But that was him. Now he's for defunding the police. It's flip, flop, flip, flop.
It's whoever's got the biggest paycheck.
Correct. And then if you talk about corruption, I'm sorry, guys. Hunter Biden's laptop's a real thing. I know they tried to censor that.
I can't wait for that shit to come out.
If Donald Trump had an ounce of the dirt that Joe Biden had on him, he would have been put to death. He would have been decapitated. People hated him that much. The poor guy had a call with a Ukrainian guy to look into Biden's corruption, and you all impeached him. That's ridiculous.
So there's something I put on my Instagram today. I know you watch it because I appreciate your support, Chris. And it was literally talking about cancel culture and how the outsiders aren't protected and the insiders are.
Correct.
And that laptop and all the things that, and again, I don't want to make it about Trump, but if you're an outsider and you're a younger human being that wants to run for office, or you're, like I said, an outsider, it's really fucking hard to do so because everybody, everybody has skeletons in their closet, mistakes that they've made, and the cancel culture will find you and they get crucified.
Yeah.
Unless you're protected. You're protected by big companies, media,
corporate
pharma, doesn't matter what it is, PR companies. It doesn't matter. You're protected, and he's protected. This laptop that is coming out, that has come out, that has
now
some
it's real. Remember they said it was Russia disinformation.
Of course it was.
Of course, yeah.
But what really was Russia disinformation that just came through with the Hillary Clinton thing that just came out too. But no one's fucking talking about that either, which is unbelievable. The Steele dossier.
They don't even know about it. They don't even know about it.
I know. If you randomly went outside right now, and maybe not here, we're in an affluent place. But if you went outside anywhere and you said, "What's the Steele dossier?" I bet you fucking 2 people out of 10 would actually understand what it is or even mention it.
And the importance of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the biggest scam. Well, the analogy I like to always give. So and we'll move on from Trump here in a bit, but it's important. So Biden's been in politics for 50 years, basically accomplished nothing. So I always found it ironic when people said, Trump's been in politics. He was in politics for 4 years. And people are like, this country is the worst country ever. Well, who's responsible? Well, it wouldn't be Trump. It'd be the guys that were in office for 40, 50 years, right?
Correct.
But if you had a company, let's say I'm Democrat, you're Republican Party, right? We're actually kind of friends. It'd be like, the Bushes and the Pelosi's. We're all kind of friends. We're all career politicians, the Bidens, the Obamas, the Clintons, all of them. And we owned a company. We were the owners of a company, this corporation. And every year we're just stealing exorbitant amount of money from this corporation, right? We're just lining our pockets with it. And then all of a sudden the board decides, you know what? We're going to put in a new CEO. And this CEO comes in and he says, hey, Cody, Chris, I know you guys have been here for 40 years and you know everyone here. And, this is your company, but I don't really give a shit about that. I'm here to make things happen. I'm going to bring change and I'm going to actually improve this company. Well, that's a threat to us. The establishment, the thing we've been profiting off of is now a threat. So what are we going to do to this new CEO? Oh, we are going to throw everything at him. Sexual abuse allegations, racism. We need this guy gone because he's now a threat to everything we've been putting into play.
Oh, it's 100%.
And that's what's happened.
100%.
Yeah.
If it threatens their pocketbook or their future or their legacy, they're going to obviously attack that individual or that thing. It doesn't matter at what cost.
Correct. And they're playing chess too. They're 5 steps ahead of us. So like back to our transgender movement. Yeah. These movements, you can't just look at the surface level of what they're pushing. What is the intention? How does this outcome play out in 5 to 10 years, Yeah. Because that's going to line up.
And the thing is, one thing that really frustrates me, I think, is so many folks, this is called Biden's blunders. And so many folks really truly believe that Biden was he is handled. He is a handler, I'm sure. He was handed the keys to the castle of a shitty castle. He was handed a bad economy. He was handed a virus. He was handed all these things because the media, again, what's cool about podcasting like this is because it's separate than the media, and this is just the fucking truth. And if we get censored, we get censored. But the reality of the situation is everyone thinks that is still... His approval rating is 38% to date, right now, April 2022. Yeah. And that's as of liberal, by the way, just a side note, liberal polls, I'm sorry. So what that truly means is that's inflated. It's probably some more like 5%. Totally. So he's the worst president in the United States ever to ever do this thing. Yep. My point is, he didn't get handed some shit box. He got handed the best economy he's ever seen. Yep. He got handed
in a fake recession, in a manufactured recession. He got handed the best economy ever prior to COVID.
Correct. He got handed energy independence, which we'll talk about. Yep. He got handed a fucking vaccine, which we're about to get into. That was a working vaccine
being distributed, 1 million
Project
per day.
Warp Speed.
Yeah,
we got that up and running, and he got handed it. And now we're seeing, and it's April of 2022, you're seeing all of these things we're about to get into: gas prices up, inflation up, the vaccine, and if you even look at the CDC website, which all y'all motherfuckers, which we'll talk about COVID at one point, if you go to the CDC website and you read the 38-page side effect list of that vaccine that most people took, you'll be very interested to see, but you probably won't look. Because you're fucking blind. You don't want to know.
It's a threat to your...
You don't want to know, right? He got handed all of these different things. My point is, people that are saying that he got handed the shit box are completely wrong. He got handed...
He literally had to do nothing.
He just had to be a puppet.
If you did nothing, you just opened up the country, dispersed the vaccine, you would go down as one of the greatest presidents ever.
Let's go through this vaccine thing, because I think that this is, again, one of his first blunders now that we've talked about it. So, initial thoughts... Anything.
Well, the first thing I find ironic is, if you recall when Trump was saying that he could do it in a few months, everyone said, fact check, false. You can't possibly do that, right? Mm-hmm. That was the first thing. Then when it turned out that he was going to do it, but he was still president, you can find every Democrat talking person, from Kamala to Pelosi to the Clintons to Obama, saying, I don't know if we would take this vaccine. It's a little too dicey. Sure. Okay. Then Pfizer waits. It's coming to approval. Pfizer waits until the day after he's in office. Now it's fully approved. We can start distributing. And of course, the Democrats flip-flop and say, this is Joe Biden's vaccine.
Right.
Guess what, motherfuckers? That was Trump's vaccine.
Yeah.
So all you liberals that are so pro-vax, you should thank Big Papi Trump, because he gave it to you.
Yeah, it's the truth.
It's the truth.
He gave it to you.
Yeah.
The other thing that frustrates me too, and I feel like as Americans, people forget, You sit down, like I was excited, Pastor Rob, Boats. I was excited for these debates. You remember the debates back in the day?
Oh yeah.
So if you remember and you recall and you're not an idiot, and this is the damn problem with everybody that's in office, career politicians, they overpromise, they underdeliver. They continue over and over and over again to create problems so they can get reelected. Then they promise they're going to fix the problems that they've already fucking created.
Yep.
That's the problem. And if you remember in the debates, and you remember when he won the GOP for the Democratic Party, he said he would shut down the virus. He said that any president,
Correct.
which I'd like to get into with you, any president that has killed 220,000 shouldn't be a part of the presidency or whatever the case is. Dude, Chris, what's the death count now?
Million. Damn near.
A lot.
Yeah, way more under him.
But the problem with that is we also know, and I know we're going to get into this as the thing, are they really death counts? Are they really so on and so forth? That's
Correct.
a difference.
And that's a different story.
And,
but I'm playing by their logic, right?
Yeah.
The same logic that they use against Trump. Do you remember too, during COVID, like mid 2020, you turn on even Fox News or CNN and they would have the death count. Running death count, it's running up. Oh my God, everyone's so scared. People are just dying, dropping like flies.
Dude, they
the
literally
second Biden gets in, they take that death list off.
Yeah, it was like a rolling scroll. I remember going to a local breakfast spot up here with a good friend of mine. And I remember, like, this was during COVID. Everyone was scared. You were mad. And you go in there, and there's just a rolling death count. It just keeps going. It was like an ESPN ticker almost. It was unbelievably crazy. It was like, holy shit.
Yes.
And yeah, you're right. As soon as he took office, that whole death count or that whole thing, kind of stopped, which was super, super interesting. But, I think that the way that he presented the vaccine and then ultimately impressed
what did he
and
say
forced.
Specifically? He said that if any president is responsible for that many deaths to Trump in the debate, that they're no longer fit to be president.
Yeah.
But then none of you hold
and
that.
Now what? Right?
Yeah, and then he has worse. None of you hold that same level of accountability. It's absurd.
When they were really pressing the coronavirus, and I don't want to I really want to go into this at a certain point, but
we will.
When you think about, there was literally, they dug up graves and they were doing mass graves in Central Park in New York. There was videos of people being piled up in the streets in Wuhan.
Remember they were dropping it in the grocery store?
It's crazy. And it's all the fucking flu.
It's bullshit.
Which is crazy to think about. But he said the hospitals were overflowing, all this other shit.
We should talk about that.
Yeah.
So if you all remember, he promised he would not enforce a vaccine mandate. That's what he said. Right. He becomes president. Damn near one of the first things he does, enforces a vaccine mandate. Now, he couldn't do it for all of corporate America but he could do it for all federal employees. So what's the most ironic part is, so my girlfriend, she's a nurse. You would think, logically, these nurses they've been working in the COVID unit without masks. They were running out of masks. Like they were right in the heart of it, watching people die. And it was real. COVID is real. I'm not saying it's not.
No, the virus.
It was real. Hospitals
the virus is 100% real.
Yes.
And they were continued to be overrun because they fired hospital staff because they didn't take the vaccine.
So these nurses that were working for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, Biden comes in and starts enforcing the vaccine mandate. Do you know why? Because it's big pharma money. Keep pushing this. We're not done with our money making
with
yet.
Billions.
Yes. And then they're starting to fire nurses while we're still apparently, which was bullshit to begin. We're still apparently in the midst. People are dying like flies. Well, then why are you firing nurses? Why are you firing doctors and healthcare workers?
Then there were zeros.
Yes. Unless you did exactly what they told you. You took your little vaccine.
It's unbelievably crazy how that worked. And what's crazy is there's so many people now with all the vaccine reporting, all of the things that are coming out, and we have this shortage in the workforce, no matter how many, what's crazy is and this is a blunder in his own right. In the State of the Union, he said that he had more jobs created than anyone ever.
Oh my gosh.
Let's just, ladies and gentlemen, please hear me out and Chris out on this. Please hear me out.
Go.
If you take away something and then recreate it or then fill that spot again, that is not creation. That is subtraction and addition. Yeah. So if you fucking fire people for not taking your vaccine that is showing to maybe work or may not work, whatever the case is, and then you just hire them back, or you hire people that will have that vaccine, that is not creation of new jobs.
Or if you shut down businesses, only allow them to use 25% of their space.
Right.
Companies have to lay people off to keep themselves afloat, which we can get into that discussion too. That's a whole other thing too, where they put all that fucking money that they spent.
Well, but hold on though. Think about this. This is a Biden blunder. This is a politic blunder. You get somebody, and we're going to get into this, $10 trillion that they printed. Where does that money go? So we just did the Green New Deal. It was $1 trillion, right? That literally just went through last week, this week, somewhere around there. Where do you think that shit goes? So you literally take $1 trillion, okay?
Do you know how much $1 trillion is? It's 1,000 billion. When they pass 10,
do you know how much $1 billion
trillion
is? It's 1,000 million.
So they're passing. We should have a climate change one too.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. But
do you believe in climate change?
I believe it's a thing. I don't think we can do anything, and I don't trust the government.
We can't do anything about it.
We'll get into that. But no, that amount of money, $10 trillion, you could take 10,000 cities, give them each $1 billion. Like, it's that amount of money.
When you think about infrastructure, what do you think about?
Roads and bridges
and trains. Do you know the percentage of that new Green Deal that actually is going to those things?
Zilch.
Less than 10%.
I mean,
if you own a fucking railway, or you own a bridge company, okay, Chris?
Yeah.
And I am a lobbyist, or I am a politician, right? In your city that you own the company in, that we're doing bridges for, your bridge company. And I say, hey, Chris, I'm going to give you this deal. It's worth $750 million, which is pennies on the dollar in Pittsburgh or New York, whatever the case is for this bridge. You're going to update these things. However, you're going to kick me back 500 of it. And that's how it works. I give you 750 on paper. You're going to kick me back 500,000 through lobbying,
or get me into your deals,
through political donations, or through getting people through deals. And if you don't think that's the way the world works for this thing, then you're an idiot.
Correct.
Because that's exactly what happens. You really think, and again, this is back to the transition. We talked about this. If you think that these things aren't happening, the only reason why you're not thinking they are happening is because you're not a bad person. And that's okay.
Yes.
You're not a bad person.
Yes.
These people are.
That's a good point.
They haven't done anything.
No.
Nancy Pelosi has been a Speaker of the House, but she's been in politics for 50 fucking years.
Yeah.
And she's 81.
She was
my age, $31
million.
Why is she worth 150? Hold on. What's the average? What's the average?
175 grand a year.
175 grand a year. And it just increased, right?
Yeah, now.
How are you with compounding interest? You going to sit here and say that? No, she's taking new deals, and she's also on the inside track. Martha Stewart went to fucking prison for fucking insider trading. For insider trading. These people are insider trading the whole time.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable, dude. So, anyways, he said he was gonna unite us. We had a lot of racial tension. We had a lot of vaccinated versus unvaccinated. He said he was gonna unite us. He said he was gonna unite the top, middle, and bottom class. He said we're all gonna get together, which is sweet. And he's done none of that. No. Biden blunder number 3, 4, whatever it is.
This was a war of the unvaccinated. And then he also said that there's going to be, what did he say too, which I thought was so funny, that there's going to be a winter of severe death and illness for the unvaccinated.
Disgusting.
Guess what? Hey, it's springtime, motherfuckers. Hey, my warriors, you survivors. Good job. You did it.
Got some tan.
Yeah, nice and tan.
Come on, man.
I didn't stop partying. We had a great time. Just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
It was a separation tactic. You know, where did all the everything that was deuniting us or separating us, divide and conquer? That was the whole point. Like, if you think about his rise to the election, when our friend was in office and the Republican Party was in office for both for 2 out of the 3, the Senate and obviously the executive branch. Yeah. Anyways. What did they do? The big media and everybody separated, divide and conquer. They created narrative. They showed all of these, cops beating up black folk or whatever the case is. They created fiscal separation where, the poor or the rich are just beating up on the poor and all this different stuff. They did the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. If you don't mask up, you're gonna kill grandma and all this different stuff. And then all of a sudden he says he's going to unite us and none of that. Do you really think that all of that stuff stopped?
No, exactly. Did it stop?
It didn't stop. No, it's just not focused on because it's not their agenda.
Exactly. It's not important anymore. Every time before an election, they're going to talk about cop violence on black
minorities
people.
Or what have you.
Yep, on minorities, whatever. It's designed. It's choreographed.
Yeah, 100%.
And we respond just like the perfect little sheep we are, and then hate each other instead of hating those that are actually pushing this on us.
Yeah, before we get into, I have a theory about this, and this is just my thoughts before we get into probably economics and all kinds of different things with gas prices and so on and so forth. All these different blunders, Afghanistan, we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I believe that this is all choreographed to where it's in the shitter so that he has a comeback story. Does that make sense? The most gullible people are the same people that I talked to you about. Someone posted on their shit the other day. Thanks a lot, Trump. This is your fault for gas prices. Like, they're just stupid.
Yeah.
It's not like it's stupid. But the most gullible people are the people they're still after. And my theory is that they are going to choose that narrative that it's not Biden's fault and his administration. It is Trump's fault and all the things that he did over 4 years. They're going to push that narrative for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, halfway through his election. They're going to make things so bad on purpose to where he can, quote unquote, be the hero and save the day for the second half of his term so that the Democratic Party, I don't think it's going to be him, can be reelected, or maybe it is him, or maybe it's Kamala, or whatever the case is, so they can be reelected in 2024. You have to gain perspective, things have to be shitty before they can be great.
Correct. So here's my theory. I think these first 2 years are going to be an absolute disaster. 2022, we're having an election coming up. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to go very red. I think House Senate can turn red. And then what's going to happen is things will start fucking hitting the fan. All the first 2 years, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And then all he's going to say is, well, this wouldn't have happened if the Republicans
part of the plan
weren't the Senate. They've already playing this. They know that he's going to blow it. Part of the plan. They're probably okay with even Republicans taking over, and it's going to be a disaster. And by the end of his term, it's going to be a disaster.
I also have a theory. I've shared it with you 100 times when we're drinking, having a good time, whatever. Yeah. But I also think that they have fucked up so bad. And they have exposed their hands so bad. And people that are smart are getting smarter, and the information that's out there is disseminating quicker. And I truly believe that with this information age of information parity versus asymmetry, I'll go into this real quick.
Yeah.
Information asymmetry is when one party knows more than the other, and you could lie. Snake oil salespeople. I can say whatever the fuck I want to you. You're not going to have access at all to what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Period.
Interesting.
Information parity with the advancement in internet and social media has changed. Information parity means you know just as much as I know because of the information that's out there.
Yes.
So with the information parity aspect, these people know so much that I truly believe that we won't see another blue party in office for probably 12 to 16 years.
Do you feel it's intentional?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's intentional. I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's to bring things down before it gets better. But again, my point is, with all of this information out, they are going to absolutely get shit on in November of 2022. This is in April, so I'm technically 7 months in advance, so you can check the tape. The red is gonna run. The Red Sea is gonna rise the fuck up.
Do you think there's too much damage done that it's inevitable that we fail? Like, inflation is so high. So, for example, I was talking to one of my buddies who's very, he's a stockbroker. That's all he studies. And he said, honestly, the only way that we fix the inflation things going on right now is we have to let our economy tank. The problem is no president is going to let the economy tank underneath them. Mm-hmm. So what I see happen is Republicans come in, they win the House and Senate.
They build it on
the ship is crashing into the shore no matter what. But now they're just going to put some, instead of Democratic lifeguards, they're going to put Republican lifeguards and say, damn it, those Republican lifeguards didn't stop us. It's their fault. That's what I see.
That's also something too. I can see that. I mean, you're basically talking about building a deck of cards house, or a house on a deck of cards, or a house on a foundation popsicle stick.
Yep.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The inflation is terrible. I mean, it's the economic policy. This is the problem with look, 10 years from now, this podcast is going to surface. And,
can't wait.
You're right. But it's going to, I'm just saying, like, it's going to become relevant again. But just please, for the love of God, look at economic, foreign, domestic, all these policies that your candidate is presenting. And if you don't know the policies, you don't get the fucking vote.
Correct.
Like, the reason why we're in this mess is because you didn't look at the policy of economic policy that he's about to put in.
You know what's so funny is if you look back to even Trump, like people are like, how could you support Trump? He's such an asshole, blah, blah, blah. They actually, first of all, I found it fascinating that they had such a personal vendetta. They hate him. I don't hate Biden. I don't have like a... No. I don't want...
Whatever, dude.
Yeah, I just think he's an idiot. I think he's incompetent. I think he has literally dementia.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be leader of our president.
Sure.
But the reason I don't like him is because of his policies.
Right.
Trump, I like because of his policies. Where I asked people, why do you hate Trump?
Asshole.
They couldn't tell me what policies do you really think were so terrible. The fact that he funded HBCUs, lowered taxes, the economy was at all time. Like, what do you hate about his policies? You're not voting someone to be your moral compass. You know, that's for your father, your families, your churches, your communities, your coaches,
100%.
Your role models. Those are your moral compass.
Arms reach.
Your president should not be, but everyone said, let's get in nice Joe. Joe's a nice old man. Joe will bring us back to our respectable leadership. Well, guess what? Does a world respect us right now?
No, we're at 7%.
No, they respected Trump because he was...
Yeah.
You didn't fuck around.
We're talking about, I saw a meme or something the other day. It's like, he promised us unity, student loan forgiveness.
Yeah, how's that going,
and
losers?
all this other stuff. And you're getting 7% inflation, World War III potential, and $8 gas prices.
And guess what, guys? We're fine. Inflation is fine. I don't give a shit about gas. I don't even know what gas prices are right now because I just fill up. I make money. I don't even give a fuck. But guess what? All you people that voted for Biden,
70% of the nation lives paycheck to paycheck and has less than $1,000 in their bank account.
Do you want to hear a bad joke?
I mean, fuck it.
It's not that bad. It's how do you know when an immigrant is successful?
How?
They vote Republican. It's true.
It's kind of funny.
Which kind of ties into where we're going to go.
Yeah.
But I think before we get into the immigrant thing, we should talk about...
Let's talk through
gas
oil
prices.
Oil and inflation.
Let's talk about that. Because I don't think people understand. Because like you had a buddy who recently said, oh man, you really think gas prices would go up this fast just because of Biden's first year? Yes, dipshit, because you don't understand what... You actually don't know what is going on and why they're going up.
Right.
Do you want to start it?
Yeah, 100%. So, gosh, if you look back to the first week as a president of the United States of America, he was, again, this is called Biden's Blunders. He signed 39 executive orders.
Yep, day one.
Day one. And if you didn't know that, this is why you're listening. I really, I keep thinking about the general human being that's like, holy shit, 39? Yeah, dude. And one of them was the stoppage of fracking and drilling for oil on U.S. soil. And that's a problem. That's day one, folks. So you're thinking now 12, 13, 14, 15 months later, we're in a situation where gas prices are the highest they've ever been. Folks also don't understand, and we'll go through all this shit, but folks also don't understand that we are getting $50 million per week. We are giving to Russia for the use of their oil right now.
Correct.
And everybody is virtue signaling and saying, I love Ukraine, You motherfuckers. We stand with Ukraine. I get it. That's great. But we stopped oil production in the U.S.
Yep.
However, we're paying Saudis and Russians $50 million a week
now
to
we want to buy
leverage
from
and use
Venezuela too.
So we're funding the Ukraine war fund for Russia at $50 million a week.
Yeah, wild.
And you still think that you think that Putin's the worst? No, it's our own campaign. It's our own people that are funding that shit. So those are two things that are frustrating.
So he came in, he closed our pipeline immediately. Executive order, damn near the first one.
Yep.
Then Germany and everyone, they supported Russia's pipeline. America too. We now are buying oil from Russia. Exorbitant amounts of oil. Now, Biden, when he came in, he literally had all the oil companies come to basically Oval Office, and encouraged them to stop producing oil.
Keystone Pipeline.
Well, Keystone Pipeline was a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They literally had 9,000 drilling spots or something like that. I think it was. Is that what it was?
So what the term they use is they say that, oh my God, there are 9,000 unused drilling permits that these evil oil companies just don't want to produce oil. They're in the business of profiting. Of course they
can't.
The problem is, if you've ever been in a regulated industry at all, insurance, mortgages, oil specifically, there's a number of steps you must complete before you're actually approved to drill or to produce, right? Well, Biden's administration blocked federal land leases, which is one of the primary steps to drill in this country. So they can have all the permits they want, but then the federal government's not going to give you a federal land lease where you can't possibly produce. So no shit, we don't have oil. So now we're tapping into our reserves, which thank God Donald Trump stocked up because he saw that price is so low.
There was so much oil.
Yeah. It's intentional though.
So much oil.
They don't understand how this actually works.
If you think about this, so you go through the past 2020 and 2021, and you think about the isolation that was created, and I mean by COVID and by fear and all these other things. Now think about this. Now you are taking normal human beings that are paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
Why did they create that fear? Why did they create that isolation? Because it is easier to control a mind that's isolated, not having conversations with other human beings.
Communities, yeah.
Like this, communities, or going to the bar, or going to church and having communal conversations. Now, so they've played that card. Now this card. Hear me out. I know this sounds, I could put fucking tinfoil hat on. Okay? Now you're talking about throwing all this gas prices through the roof, even though we have so much fucking oil. Guys, the earth is going to end in the next couple hundred years anyways, okay? There is so much oil that we could fucking live for 1,000 years. The earth's going to last another 200. We're fine. My point is, we stop the production here. Why? To increase gas prices so high that it's hard to travel places that you would like to travel.
Keep you isolated.
To keep you isolated because you're easier to manipulate.
It's too expensive to travel.
Too expensive to travel. Too expensive to go here. Too expensive to go there.
Yep.
It's very, very simple. They're continuing to play the same play. They're just doing it via different avenues. And it's so easy to see. But if you look at any sort of media outlet, it's look over here, not over here. It's, well, that's not true. Here's the narrative. Holy shit. The key thing that anybody can have right now, and I think we've talked about this, Chris, is like, you got to have some intestinal fortitude to go a layer deeper and have some critical thinking.
Well, it's the funny thing is when they, the media has, I think the media is starting to panic that, Joe Biden isn't this perfect person we thought. We can't really cover for him anymore. So you see some like even liberal media outlets kind of coming at Jen Psaki, who thank God she's gone. No one's going to miss you.
Why is she gone?
Well, because
do you think that she's pulling out because she knows what's about to fucking happen?
Correct. But my point, when they asked her, say, why don't you guys just start like producing oil and start like letting these things, stop being so strict on your permitting, let land leases happen. That would actually solve it. Their response is always like, we need to come up with clean, green energy solutions so we don't ever have this problem again. They purposely created these gas prices so that people think that gas is so sparse that we have no choice other than solar and wind turbines, and this is what we have to do. So then guess what they do? They pass another bill, another Green New Deal, to pass that to give trillions of dollars to their crony buddies, to their green companies. Guess what, guys? I'm sorry. Oil is not going to destroy the world. The earth is.
You can't squeeze blood out of a turnip.
Correct.
So my point is,
there's nothing that can replace oil in a reasonable time frame. And also, even if America, we went all green, we got rid of all our oil, we somehow created enough solar panels and wind turbines to do that.
Yeah.
What do you think fucking Africa and India are going to do? Do you think they're going to be like, well, hey, we have all the capital. Let's build a fucking 10,000 wind turbines in a 800 mile square radius of solar panels. No, they're going to say, What's the cheapest, most efficient energy source there is in Earth? Oil. We're going to use oil. So while we lower our footprint, everyone else raises theirs. It's a
So you think about supply and demand. It's a simple business concept, right? So in supply and demand market, doesn't matter what market you're in. If the supply is low, the demand goes up, correct?
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yep.
Scarce product is in high demand.
Correct.
So they're using that very simple business concept to say, hey, supply is super low, demand's super high. We're going to raise the price. You don't like the price? Maybe we should have something that's an alternative.
And that's theirs. That's theirs. Well, yeah, we made this solution unreasonable.
So like what we've done for the last decade. Okay. Supply is low, meaning interest rates on cash out is super high. Meaning then demand's like, oh shit, but I also want to take advantage of this newfound equity. I want this cash out. So then someone says, you know what we should do? Let's create second mortgages. Let's create HELOCs. Holy shit. My point is, when supply is low and demand is high, other products are created. And if you're pushing and you're behind and you're going to get a lot of money from that product, you develop that product pretty fucking quick, and that's your play.
Exactly.
Dude.
It's designed. It's designed. They're intentionally trying to raise prices to make it inefficient so people think gas is evil. And they're framing it that, oh, the big oil companies, their margins have increased 200%.
Yeah.
No shit.
So has everybody else's.
Yes, that's how things work.
Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry.
If you want to talk about the oil companies' margins, can you show me real quick Pfizer, Moderna, all those, please?
My God.
But the other thing I think about is we talk about alternative energy and the big green project, whatever the fuck it's called.
Green New Deal.
Hold on, dude.
Yeah.
Who's the king of alternative energy? Elon fucking Musk.
Oh yeah. And he
hates this deal.
And Joe Biden doesn't even mention him. Joe Biden doesn't even mention him.
Why wouldn't you have, bro?
Why wouldn't Ford and Chevy for their advances in electric car technology and never mention Tesla?
Why wouldn't you have him on the board of the Green New Deal?
Because he's a threat.
Wait, hold on. Think about this. Hopefully this hits home with our viewers. Why wouldn't you have the king, the person that created the electric vehicle?
Damn near.
Damn near, right?
No, he did.
He's the second richest person in the world, because why wouldn't you have him on the board, or at least advising you on how to create other forms of energy?
Because he's not a crony.
100%.
He does what he wants. He doesn't need government money.
It's all the writings on the walls. You just got to look.
All the Ford executives, the Chevy, they made an electric Ford Mustang that looks like a fucking lesbian Subaru. What is going on? They're just selling out. They're just whatever I can get from the government. Bail me out. Give me some money.
Yeah.
Give me some loopholes. I'll take them.
Yeah. So this is all. My point is, our point is, it's all orchestrated. You just got to look. You got to look at these things. Inflation. They want to make you poor.
Just study the actions. Yeah.
Yeah. Study the actions. Inflation. They want to make you poor. They want to make things harder to buy. They want to make the cost of goods more expensive via supply chain. They fucking shut down supply chain issues. It was in October, I think, is when this whole thing happened. I was in October when this whole thing happened, and when the supply chain issues, and there was many cargo ships literally sitting outside of ports, not being able to get in there. That's all orchestrated as well.
The ports are on what? East and West, typically on blue state and blue state, New York.
Weird.
Yep. California.
Weird.
They were. Yep.
But if the shelves are empty, guess what? People start to panic. What do they do when they panic? They get scared. They go home. They're isolated. They start saving way too much.
They
get violent. Crime goes up. And the crime rates are the biggest. They're the highest they've ever been in every major city. Crime is up 1,400% across in Chicago. There's a couple other cities. In Baltimore, Maryland. It is unbelievable how much crime is out there, because we are... With all
people are struggling.
Because people are struggling.
That's why.
Man.
That's what happens.
Look, my buddy he bought a $450 transformer for he's redoing his backyard, Scott, and he just got it delivered by Amazon, and they rang the doorbell, and some fucking people rolled up right behind the UPS truck or the Amazon truck.
No way.
Stole the $450 transformer. No. People are fucking scared. Ruthless. They don't know what to do. So.
That sucks.
Yeah. So
whatever.
Last but not least, I think
he gets what he votes for.
Yeah. I hope he hears that so good. But the last but not least, I think, again, with Biden's blunders, right? We can go on probably for this for a long time, and we can go through different aspects. But I think we talk about the border, then the border crisis that we have. We're in Arizona. For those of listeners that are maybe somewhere else, and shit, I know we definitely have listeners that are elsewhere. We're in Arizona and we're seeing it front line. Again, it's just something that people hear about but don't really want to dig into. They don't want to believe it, and it's a serious problem.
Yeah. So let's kind of set the record straight with kind of what happened with this whole immigration thing. So there were rules set in place well before Trump that basically said that if someone came across the border with a child, they committed a crime, that you would send them both back basically to Mexico. Well, when Obama comes and they turn it into a moral issue and they start saying that, you can't separate from the kid. So illegal immigration started spiking, right? Because what we do is they'd have a kid. They'd have a kid in our country. We'd let them into this country immediately. So Trump comes in and he doesn't even create the new immigration laws. He didn't touch them. He just started enforcing what are already the United States immigration laws, right? And he was crucified for that, okay? Biden comes in, revokes it all. He basically says, like, how could you separate? This is always a line. It's always, notice, guys, it's always an emotional appeal. Like, how could you separate parents from their children?
Or how could you not have people?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me ask you a question.
They want to make themselves a better life.
Guys, let me ask you a fucking question. If I am a cocaine dealer and I drive home shithouse drunk, okay, and I get pulled over and I have a daughter at home or a child at home, am I getting separated from my fucking child?
Yes.
Yes. Why? Because I committed a fucking crime.
You're right.
Simple as that. I committed a crime. I broke the rules. When the rules are able to be broken, now, guess what? How many people would be selling cocaine, driving drunk if there was no punishment? You get caught. I have a child. I'm going to go home. Everyone would drive home drunk. I have a child at home. You can't arrest me. You can't take me away from my child. That's exactly what happens with the border. When we have loose rules, people are going to break them. So if someone who cares about their child, if they know they're going to be separated from their child at the border, do you think they're going to do that? Fuck no.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
So, this actually, I'm going to go on a little bit of a riff here. So I'm thinking about this a lot lately. And, I basically was, damn near raised by folks that are from Sonora, Mexico. And I've spent a lot of time with them. And I've thought about this a lot. And, when you're thinking about the border specifically, they always play on your heartstrings, like you said. It is, how can you not want these people to come from a third world country and better their life? How can you separate kids away from their parents? How can you not want these people to come over? They're just trying to better their life. Well, here's the deal. The reality of the situation is you're a good-hearted person, and maybe some of them are. But if you look at what's happening, if you look at crime rates, if you look at drug trafficking, if you look at fucking sex and human trafficking and how much it's spiked, it is all because of this border crisis that we're having.
Yep.
And it's not right. And look, there are some great people that come across the border regardless. And I know people that have come across the border illegally. I get it. But they've also bent and broke the rules. My heart would break if those folks went back or had to go back, if they were, whatever the case is. They would. It really would.
Yeah,
but at the same time, the majority of folks that are coming in illegally are not good people. The people that are coming through are drug dealers, are bringing in drugs, are bringing in humans, are sex trafficking, it is not a good place to be.
No, I mean, there's 3 million people that have come through while Biden's in president last year and a half. 3 million.
3 million, guys. That is 2 million less than the population of Phoenix Metro.
Yeah, there's that many people. They are, without a doubt, bringing over fentanyl. In 2021, there were over 100,000 American deaths from fentanyl. That's a real thing. Okay. Now, also, when the kids that are brought over here, oftentimes the person that is say so-called parent is not even their parent. Okay, it's someone trafficking them, and the journey that these poor kids go through, especially the young girls, is like, I think it's like 9 years old, are getting raped and molested. It's evil, and you are letting this happen by your blinded compassion, not understanding the actual solution for the problem.
Your silence.
So in your, you said that you have people that have come here. My solution would never be to kick everyone out.
No.
My solution would rather be, which is what Trump was trying to do, which also his wall was only like $4.5 billion. We just spent 15 to Ukraine, 15 billion to Ukraine, 4 trillion. It was pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, you need secure borders.
You got to stop the leak. It's like if you have a leaky pool and you're trying to fill it with, fresh, good water. You got to stuff the hole.
Yeah,
build the wall.
Yeah.
Then we can negotiate actual voting laws. But they don't want to. They don't actually want to solve voting laws.
There's so many people that have come over here the right way too that are unbelievably awesome people.
They want to, but it's intentional. Where Democrats they don't want to solve the leak and actually work with Republicans to create a good immigration system. No, they want the line to be: you either are for
and you're racist,
or you hate immigrants.
You hate immigrants.
They want that to be the line.
And you're a piece of shit.
They want that to be the line.
Yeah,
so they 100%. Can say, we are fighting for immigrants. You guys hate immigrants. No. We don't. But that's the line they want. Once we build the wall and we actually have we start Republicans and Democrats come together to build a system that works for immigration, so we can get the good people in. Well, then all of a sudden they don't own that. They don't own that issue anymore.
Yeah. So I want you to think about this. So dams, and just hear me out on this. So there's been there's bodies of water all over the U.S. Hear me out on this, right? And there's cities built around those bodies of water. There's been dams put in place. Then those dams let out a certain amount of water to farmers. This is like, you go way back. They let out certain amounts of water and you negotiate with the dam owner, with the county or with the country or whatever the case is for how much water you have. My point is you put the dam in place. First. Yes. And then you negotiate after. It doesn't work the other way around.
That's a good one. I like that.
It doesn't work the other way around, right? So you stop pulling on the heartstrings. You start looking at all these people. We're in Phoenix. You talk about El Paso, all of San Diego, all of these places that are along the border. There are hundreds of thousands, millions of people that have been trucked in by this administration, and they are trucked in by the truckloads, and they're disseminating across all big, huge areas around the entire border cities. They're being flown in by plane to the Northeast to all over the country. This is happening all over the place.
And the question becomes...
It's intentional.
Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Why is it?
Well,
if you don't have an ID.
There was a Harvard study that came out, I think it was 2 years ago. And at the time, there's estimated 23 million illegal immigrants in the United States. So that number now that Biden's probably up to 30 million, right? So again, like I mentioned, you always got to think these people are playing chess. They're 5 moves ahead. They might be talking about this move, but they've already planned it. They want your response so then they can negotiate this, and this. Well, why were they fighting for the voter rights bill? Or remember Georgia came out? Voter ID. They were so mad because Georgia said we need voter ID.
Well, it's racist if you don't have it.
It's racist, apparently, which is kind of racist to assume that black people aren't capable of...
Or any minority, period.
Getting their own ID.
Come on. You need an ID to buy a fucking beer that we have.
Well, you know what's the most ironic part? So... They use the logic of Georgia voting law was illegal because that was so racist. They want to keep black people from voting because they required ID. Guess what else you need the ID for? Your ID for? And I know you can list a million things. The COVID vaccine.
Yeah, I know.
So isn't that ironic? So you're saying that this is racist because you require ID, but then you're also saying that you need an ID to get this COVID vaccine, and you're pushing at the time for you can't go into restaurants or anything without proof of vaccination. How is that not racist?
Is that racist?
That's totally racist.
Did you know the lowest population, the lowest race is black folk?
I wouldn't trust them either.
I wouldn't trust them fucking either.
No, the Tuskegee Project, they have treated these people like shit. They have overrun their communities with drugs, liquor stores. It's heartbreaking.
With drugs, liquor stores, with policy, with elected officials over and over again, under promising or over promising, under delivering.
They keep voting Democrat.
Yeah, but it is one of those things where I'm with you. So the theory that Chris and I are going to talk about is, look, you guys got to understand something, okay? The writing's on the wall. They ain't getting reelected in 2024. So how do you bridge the gap? Let's think about how to bridge the gap. Well, if I can pass this little thing called no voter ID, and I can get a bunch of people that under my regime as the Democratic Party in the Biden administration, I can get 3 million right now, and let's see what happens over the next 2.5 years. If I can get millions of people to flood the U.S., and they only have gotten into the U.S. illegally because I've allowed them to, and I want to get reelected, and they don't need an ID, that seems like a pretty good little equation. So you vote, you don't need an ID. I'm going to allow you in the country, so I know you're going to vote for me. Because if you vote for the Republican Party,
coming across the border, they're voting wearing pro-Biden shirts.
Because they're giving them to them.
Of course.
To remind them of who let them in.
Yeah, who let them in? Joe Biden. He's the hero of the people.
It's unbelievable.
I mean,
so when you're trying to breathe, yes, it is true.
It's treasonous.
He should be, dude. This is crimes against humanity, from COVID to
hundreds
this,
of thousands
to that.
are dying from fentanyl. People are dying from crime. Crime is going up.
There's sex trafficking.
You are abandoning
people
American people. You're selling out so you can maintain power.
Power and money. And it's treasonous, and it's crimes against humanity. And real talk, dude, he should be hung in front of everybody for everybody to see, like it was 1925.
They all should.
Yeah, they all should.
They all should.
It's all treasonous.
Republicans and Democrats. I mean,
yeah.
Unfortunately, we're at a point now where,
dude, like this bipartisan bullshit, this bipolar shit, this like,
if you're a career politician,
it doesn't matter.
If you're a career politician
on either side,
you're scum of the earth. Okay, career politicians should not be making hundreds of millions of dollars.
No,
career politicians should not be allowed to invest while they're in office, nor should their families. Simple as that. You can't sell out.
Correct. We can't. I know we're coming to a close here.
Yeah,
we can't not talk about Afghanistan though. I literally just thought about that. Yeah. So I mean, guys, you're talking about 86,000 vehicles. 86,000 vehicles. This is the biggest blunder of them all, in my opinion. And I know we're running out of time, but 86,000 vehicles, tons and tons of armory, and tons of guns, tons of everything that you can't get your hands on. The newest equipment out there that hasn't even been let out of the fucking box. And these people that we've been in a war with, we just left it all behind.
Well, and you know, in the last 2 years prior to the Afghanistan, we had zero U.S. casualties.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like we were fine. We didn't have to.
We're not even in a war.
We're just maintaining. But instead, we decided emergency pull out. 13 of our soldiers die. A bunch of our allies, which are like Afghanis that were working pro-America, we just left them behind.
Male,
who knows what happened to them?
Allies, everybody executed. That's in there, they're probably executed. No one knows. We just left. We left C-130s.
Taliban's now like I forget. It was like the most well-armed. It's up there for like one of the most well-armed militaries in the world.
They are. No, they're third.
It's something like that. It's something wild.
Well-armed military, and it's really what's really shitty about it, Chris, is that you think about all the folks.
For what reason?
All the real estate, all of the folks that died. It's really shitty that they might have died in vain. You're talking about a 20+ year war that so many have died for. They don't even know what they were dying for, which is so unique and crazy. And now Pastor Rob. Pastor Rob was an Army guy for a long time as a CAR, combat action ribbon. Guy's a real deal. Okay, so you have all these people that might have died or might have, all these different things maybe for vain when we pulled out like that. And so many think or so many say, well, is Trump's plan to pull out on this date? Well, look, dude, I have a date to lose 25 or 10 pounds to get down to 225 pounds. If I get to that date, which is April 14th, and I'm not at 25 or 225, you think I'm just going to fucking stop? My point is, if you put a date out there, which I think it was like May 5th, I don't know what it was. Trump put a date out there to have everybody out of there respectively by that certain time.
Get out your equipment. And get out everything.
Yeah.
In an appropriate way.
In an appropriate way.
And set the right expectations of them. If you touch on a single American,
correct,
you're going to get rained hellfire.
Correct. So you have the best and largest standing, if I'm not mistaken, military in the entire world. And you pull out of a country that you went to war with or that you wanted to help or what have you. You want to do all this shit with in a matter of a day or two, and you leave behind more shit that you could shake a stick at when I'm talking about military information, military equipment, so on and so forth. And you leave behind American citizens just because what? You wanted to say the news headline that you pulled out and you're a hero for ending the war?
20-year war, please.
Dude, I mean, it's crazy to me. So you have 13 people that had to have their significant others, their family. There's 13 people, 13 human beings, U.S. American soldiers that lost their life, and families are affected and so on because of someone's dumbass decision.
And they don't give a shit.
And they don't care. Not once. The State of the Union, that gal spoke up and said, yeah, 13 of them.
Yeah.
And each one of those soldiers, we honor and obviously salute, and each one of those families we honor and salute as well. But it's a blunder to pull out of Afghanistan how we did. It's very embarrassing. The entire country was embarrassed. Military, foreign and domestic, past, present, and even future are embarrassed on how we did that whole thing. It's sad.
I mean, we're a year and a half into this.
Yeah.
We got another 2.5 years left. It's been an absolute disaster, far worse than any of us could have imagined. And for those of you that were blinded by your hatred of Trump, that was manufactured by a media and a corporate America that just fed you nonstop, I hope one day you wake up and you realize that this is on you. This is what happens when you're ill-informed. You make emotional decisions. You get people like this. And there are countries out there that they don't care about they don't care about your pronouns. They don't care about your social media. They don't care about your fact checkers. The only thing they care about is dominance. And we are showing every single day we are weaker and weaker and weaker. Mm-hmm. And I hope that what I fear can happen never happens, because it involves America not being the strongest power in the world. And you all better wish that never happens.
100%. I mean, you think that the Russian folk that were invading Ukraine were wearing masks? No, they don't give a shit about that.
No.
It is about asserting dominance. If you look back, and we'll wrap it up. If you look back to Alexander the Great, you look back to Genghis Khan, you look back to Napoleon, guys, this wasn't that long ago. You might think that I feel like all y'all motherfuckers,
250 years.
Everybody, you all fell asleep in history class. Do you not remember all of the shit that just happened? This was not that long ago, folks. And if you are to think, and you're naive enough to think that powers that be don't join up and try and take over other countries, it ain't going to be, I'm going to sail a ship and I'm going to go to the U.S. and I'm going to take over that country. No. How do you do it? You infiltrate technology. You infiltrate the people. You infiltrate mindsets over years and years and years. And you push a little bit and you push a little bit, and eventually you don't even know what the fuck is going on. Yeah. And that is what's going on right now with this regime. And you might be thinking, oh, you guys are just salty because your guy got out of office and all this other shit. Sure, dude. Sure. You keep thinking they're conspiracy theories, but they're actually conspiracy realities. It's just the truth. Yeah. If you look up the facts, it's just the truth. So I feel that exact same feeling you feel. And that's the reason why we're doing this podcast. Real talk, that's the reason why we're doing this podcast, is because strong men and women need to stand up and actually do something. Yeah. Okay. It wasn't a lot long ago that people didn't stand up in 1776 to separate from the dictatorship that was Great Britain. And they said, no, we're all set. We're going to get our own country. Those same patriots still exist. They do. But they just have different platforms. They're not going to go out and do this whole thing. The world's a bigger place. They need to stand up with their voice. And that's why we have the First Amendment, which is the freedom of speech.
That's why we're doing this.
That's why we're doing this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. That was super fun.
This is
which is sweet.
Yeah, Biden's Blunders.
Biden's Blunders. Hopefully it's episode 1 and the final episode.
I hope we never do another episode on this.
I hope so. You know what? I hope that we come back.
I honestly am rooting for the guy.
Yes.
I hope he figures it out. I hope he becomes pro-America.
I was just going to say that.
I hope he fixes everything. You fuckers would never wish that for Trump. You would want him to burn at the stake before he did anything good. I want Biden to do good.
I hope.
Because I love this country. I love my family. I love my friends. Yes. I love my life.
Pro-freedom. Pro this country. That's what it's all about. And hopefully he turns it around. We'll see. We got 2.5 years left. If not, we'll leave it to the red states to do it, and the red bloods to do it.
We'll fix your problems eventually.
Fix your problems. It's all good. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. If you love this and if you got something out of it, share the show. If not, go fuck yourself. Thanks so much. Bye.